And we're live. Hi, everyone. It's Monica Cardenas from Bad Mothers here with Dick Polman, a longtime political columnist and at the Philadelphia Inquirer and many other places, and fellow Substacker. Thank you, Dick, for joining me, but I think I just lost him. So there we go. We lost you for a second, just as I was introducing you.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm just getting some buffering here. I don't see you either.
Oh, okay. Well, we're back, I think. I should come back up for you in a minute, hopefully.
Okay.
But yes, Dick has agreed to do these monthly chats with me where we'll try to merge the political and feminist discourse happening in the world. I think it's particularly pertinent in the time of Trump. So I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about as time passes, and hopefully less and less in a new administration. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you, Dick, for being here.
My pleasure, Monica. Good to see you.
And maybe we should let people know now that we've actually known each other for a really long time. Dick is my best friend's father-in-law. So
There you go.
it's it's really a pleasure to get to talk to you about this stuff in a more professional setting, I guess, because when I see you in a more casual way, we always get to talking about these things. So I'm glad we can do this.
Yes, yes. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we're going to talk about Dick's column this week, which is about El-Sayed in Michigan. Do you want to give us a little background?
Yeah, they had this is for the Senate, and the Senate is up for grabs this year, and Michigan is in some ways ground zero. Democratic senator is retiring. So if the Democrats really want to flip that, if they want to flip the Senate, nationally, they really need to hold on to Michigan. And the winner of the Democratic primary, the Senate Democratic primary last week, is a gentleman named Abdul El-Sayed, and he's Egyptian American, I suppose you could call him, or American with Egyptian roots. Although he was born in Michigan, he's Muslim. And he is, I guess would say a sort of a strong progressive politically, and he won a very close Senate primary. He did enormous turnout and voter mobilization, and a lot of people on the Democratic left are very excited about his campaign. It's going to be a very, very close race, and I think two of the main things that are going to make it close that he's really, I think, anticipating. One is that his Muslim heritage, which I wrote about, because Republicans are already doing things which I think I could characterize as Islamophobia.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of people who, I think they may be scared by that. And I think Republicans who have been doing that kind of thing actually for a very long time, 15 years or more, they're
Hmm.
going to lean into that because they've got a lot of baggage with Trump right now. And I'm not sure what issues they have that are really popular with swing
Mm.
voters.
So since Trump's support is low, Republicans sort of need to look for a different angle to garner support for their candidate in Michigan. So for them, you're arguing in your piece that that means painting El-Sayed as a terrorist threat to the United States.
Yeah, that's been some of the rhetoric already.
Mm,
That I mean, the thing is about him now. It's not sufficient to say he was born in Michigan. He's has advanced degrees from Columbia and
Oxford, I
Oxford.
think you said? Yeah.
Yeah, in Oxford, and graduated University of Michigan, and he's spent his career, he's in his early 40s, spent his career in public health. He's an epidemiologist. Medicare for all is, I think, one of his issues. Now, that's something else, I suppose, that Republicans could push back on because,
Mm.
it would be expensive, et cetera. And
Mhm.
they're using the socialism label, which, of course, is another
Yeah.
subplot here.
But
Uh,
he says that he's not a democratic socialist, right? He's said he was capitalist, so he's not part of that. Or
right.
or would you characterize him as part of that wave of support for, democratic socialists that
Well,
we've
he's
seen?
not, the Democratic Socialists of America, this DSA that,
Mhm.
is getting a lot of press. He's not a member of that. He doesn't endorse a lot of things that a lot of people at the DSA have been talking about, like, to quote unquote, to fund the police. He's not for any of that. What he has basically said was, he says, I'm a capitalist who wants to make capitalism work better for the average person, through regulation and curbs to make capitalism more effective, which is really, in some ways, exactly what Franklin D. Roosevelt was saying
Mhm.
in the 1930s after the Great Depression. It was like,
Yeah.
he wanted to make capitalism work better. And so a lot of what El-Sayed is saying is very much in that tradition. But uh, I think what Republicans have been very effective at, and we'll have to see whether it works here, is going negative, quote unquote, particularly in
Mhm.
this case because of his Muslim faith. Um, Painting him as the other, as we say.
Yeah.
He's not really an American the way we want to think of as an American. I mean, that would be us, to paraphrase the kind of
Yeah.
labeling that they try to do. And Trump has been doing that, of course, since he
Mhm.
started in with Obama 15 years ago about, oh,
Yeah.
Obama's not really American. He wasn't born here. And
Yeah. Yeah.
perhaps his birth certificate said Muslim on it, which was a quote that I think I used in my piece, something he said without evidence on Fox
Yeah.
News.
Speaking of Trump, he truthed recently that a picture of Trump truthed a picture of himself with Melania and El Sayed with his wife, who was wearing a scarf, a headscarf,
Mhm.
and, wrote 2 different Americas. Hilariously, to me, Americas with an apostrophe S.
Yeah, apostrophe yes, I know, I know. Punctuation and grammar, I don't think are his strengths.
No, no, but I liked, El-Sayed's response to that, which was something along the lines of, "At least my wife and I actually like each other," um, and
Yeah,
and sort of skirted the lowball nature, I guess, of that,
yeah.
initial truth
Well,
from Trump.
right, and that's an example. And what I think he has shown so far, and he's done it with other remarks too. He's very much willing to slug it out uh,
Mhm,
with Trump and with other Republicans. And it's been a kind of a longstanding complaint among many Democrats about themselves, that they don't necessarily do that. That they don't necessarily, play aggressive hardball politics the way Republicans do. And he seems extremely confident and secure in himself doing that. Now, this doesn't
mhm,
necessarily mean he's going to win, of course. Mike Rogers, who is the Republican running against him, is a former congressman. He's a pretty experienced guy. But Rogers, of course, he's already playing hardball because he put up I think it was a tweet. Well, we still call it tweets, even though it's not Twitter, where he said, he didn't think he'd ever be running against a guy who felt that America deserved 9/11. Uh, Elsa had never said that. He never said Americans deserve 9/11. It's this, left wing commentator who supports El-Sayed, who said something
mhm,
like that in the heat of the moment in a podcast 7 years ago, and
mm,
has since said that it was inappropriate for himself to say that.
mm,
But the shorthand of that, and the falsehood of that has already gone viral in
yeah,
MAGA circles.
yeah,
I was just making the point in my piece that, if this is an extremely close race, you know, anything that might turn a few swing voters who maybe perhaps would vote out of fear
Mhm.
could make the difference.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job talking about, the difference in policy that he wants to offer, and focusing on the economy because I don't know, I hope that that will be what voters are more concerned about rather than, these lies that Republicans are making up about him, but I guess
Hmm.
we'll see what happens.
Hmm.
Let's, move on to the other candidate making news this week and last week, that's Max Miller in Ohio. He's a representative. I think he's already served 2 terms, and he's up for
It's,
reelection.
mhm. Yeah.
Um, and his ex-wife has, reported that he was physically abusive to her and their daughter, and there's since been more reports that he has physically abused at least 2 other past partners. Um, and he was interviewed by, Jake Tapper on CNN, where Tapper recounted each of those allegations and asked him, "Did what's your response to this?" And his response was basically he's going to stick it out. He's determined just like Trump was in 2016. So, what do we make of that?
Well, yeah, the broadest, the context of that is he's running for reelection to Congress. Republicans are in trouble in the House. They may lose the House. They may well lose the House to the Democrats, which would be a very sizable sea change in the politics of Washington. And this is a safe, typically a safe Republican
Mhm,
district where he's running. But now apparently the latest polls show that he's in trouble. He's staying in, but he is in trouble, and that's not a seat that they would have expected to lose. But they're kind of stuck with him now because I think today was the last day where he could have dropped out, and someone else could have started a process to
mhm,
put somebody else on the ballot. Uh, Deadline's come and gone. He's staying in. And it's another one of these examples, of course, where Republicans, through their silence or their complicity, indulge people, men in their ranks
mhm.
who are cruel or worse to women.
Yeah,
And the domestic violence allegations. Apparently, there's some state in Ohio. There's some investigatory documents on file about that, and he allegedly poured hot water on his wife and put a gun to her head. And the White House apparently was interested in having him leave. But as you were just referencing in part, he talked to Trump the other day, and he said
mhm.
that he was inspired. I think what he said to Tapper also
Yeah,
was that he was inspired by Trump's quote unquote resilience in 2016 when he was hit with, and this is Miller's words, um, the most extreme allegations with respect to women. The most extreme allegations. Frankly, it wasn't just an allegation. We had the tape uh,
the
uh,
tape of
to
Trump saying
record it.
he'll grab women when
He would
because he
grab
has
women, and he's a
money.
star. He can do whatever he wants. It wasn't
Yeah,
just an allegation; it was on record.
yeah,
But anyway, he was inspired by that, and Trump basically backed down and said, "All right." Trump did not insist that he leave the race.
mhm.
Flattering Trump is always the way to go. Uh,
Yeah, I think
so it's the bar. It's another example how the bar has been so lowered in the party.
yeah. The New York Times reported that last week, I think it was, Trump called Miller and suggested that he look at the odds, didn't tell him he should drop out, and then it was yesterday, Politico reported that actually the White House told Ohio Republicans not to publicly pressure Miller to
Hmm.
leave the race. So, yeah, as you were saying, probably we can assume based on everything we know about Trump that all he needed was a little bit of an ego boost, and he was going to support Miller. But I think what's really disturbing about Miller's response to all of this, every time you hear him talking about it, I mean, he uses that example of Trump's resilience, after he says something so offensive about women and then stands by it, or is
Mhm.
dismissive of how harmful that kind of talk is. And he reportedly said that, if he had assaulted his wife, which he had offered to cook him dinner, which is entirely tone deaf, and it misses the whole point of domestic violence, which is that women often are just trying to keep the angry man happy and calm, to save themselves and their children. So, he's just so clueless. And then, yeah, he's also made this fuss about, how he is investigating himself,
Oh,
as
yeah,
if that's meant to
that's
reassure anyone.
right, 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 yeah, in the house. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, what you know, and what you made an important point, what you just said about, the fact that, that abusive women often try to just, they want to keep the peace and protect their
Yeah.
children. And that's an important point, and it's something that I saw. Oh, this was many, many years ago. I did a three-part series for the Philadelphia Inquirer Sunday magazine about domestic violence, and
Mhm.
went all around Philadelphia and met lots of abused women, abused spouses, and that would repeatedly came up where they would address the issue of like, oh, why didn't we just leave? Well, it was not that, simple. Um,
Mhm.
and so, so he obviously doesn't have any sense of that. And frankly, as a character issue, so called, that should also be a signal to the voters that,
Yeah.
that he doesn't know how to sort of conduct himself as uh, I don't know, admirable or a role model human being.
Right.
So, and there's one other thing we haven't mentioned about about the Miller story, which is just so bizarre. He is the former son-in-law of
Mhm.
the Republican senator in Ohio. One of the Republican senators uh, is his former father-in-law,
Father-in-law, yeah.
and who has attacked him and who didn't want him to run for reelection.
Mhm.
So, Republicans fall into place, and they don't fall in line. They don't make waves on this kind of stuff. And it's a contrast with what we've seen with a lot of Democrats. Well, with Plattner in Maine, who was going to run against Susan Collins for the Senate, and
Mhm.
finally, there was a rape allegation against him, and Democrats who had been trying at least as much as they could to hold on to Graham Plattner's candidacy, finally
Mhm.
said, "You got to get out. You got to get out of this race." And within a week, he was gone. And I think we might have spoken some other time, in California, Eric Swalwell, who's a
Mhm.
congressman who's running for governor of California, Democrat,
Mhm.
and a bunch of allegations came out. He said he was going to fight it, and within days, though, Democrats forced him out of the
Yeah.
race. So, there's just such a contrast between how these parties react to these kinds of allegations, and
Yeah.
one is sensitized to women, and the other party is not.
Yeah, I think we talked about, Plattner when we did an interview for Gadfly City a couple of months ago,
Right.
and at the time, I was disappointed in Democrats' response to the allegations against Plattner because they were sort of, tentative, I guess. They weren't not everyone was saying he has to
Right.
drop out of the
Bernie
race.
Bernie Sanders hung in there as
Right,
long as he
right.
could with him.
Yeah, um, because they thought he was such a viable candidate, and that makes me nervous because I think we talked about it at the time that I imagine that is what many Trump supporters felt is who are Republicans that they thought, "This is our my candidate. I don't really have a choice in the matter now, and if I wanna vote Republican, I have to vote for this guy." And it felt to me like maybe some Democrats were doing the same thing with Platner at the time, so I was relieved to see him go
Mhm.
and hopefully, hold on to that slightly higher moral standard for Democrats, but I think that that really shows a lot the way, the party has managed this Max Miller situation because, Mike Johnson, the speaker, hasn't
Right.
said anything about him, right? He said that he'll wait for the investigation
Yeah,
to make any decisions,
that's just a way to kick the can down the road
right?
and, wait for it, because he doesn't wanna come out and sort of try to set an example. No, because he takes all his cues from the White House.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
And do you recall, did any of them I know lots of Republicans were saying that, Platner had to go, right? Or were making remarks about how Democrats should drop him at the time. And I'm
uh,
just wondering if Mike Johnson had anything to say about Platner that we could draw a direct comparison. I don't recall.
I don't recall myself,
Mm.
probably because the news cycles move so quickly that
Yeah.
we talked about this 2 months ago,
So much has
4
happened.
that's 4 light years in this universe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm hoping that Max Miller loses by a lot. That would be, vindication.
Yeah, I saw a poll just, today, and I don't, hold me to it who conducted it, but, maybe it was Democratic, pollsters because, that's, caveats, with
Hmm.
notwithstanding, that had, Miller losing at this point by about 5 points, um,
M'kay, yeah.
which would be, shocking because this district, in the last presidential race, Trump won the district by something like 11 points.
Mhm.
But if a few months ago was a few light years away, imagine what 2024
Yeah,
is
yeah.
now, with, everything and the war and gas prices and affordability
Mhm,
issues and, the obsession with his ballroom and, there's a lot of, headwinds that, Republicans are facing here.
mhm.
So Miller just may be adding to that with
Yeah,
his behavior and his reaction to his behavior.
yeah. And do you think anyone will, like, the Republican Party will come out in support of him for this campaign? Or possibly Trump help him out at a rally, or should we
Yeah,
expect
well,
anything like that?
I think Trump was sending some of his political team,
Mm,
to help him, and, I think what the party is gonna do, I mean, I think I've seen some, reporting on this, excuse me, is that now because Miller is staying in the race, the party really feels it has no choice but to, pump a lot of money uh,
mhm,
into that campaign, having expected originally that they wouldn't have to spend hardly anything for
yeah,
such a safe seat. But now I think they feel more obligated, or taking hints from the White House, that they've got to put a lot of money to save Miller. But that could change. I mean, in the fall, if things really, really look desperate in terms of how they're going to hold on to the House, whether they're going to hold on to the House, it might just be that they just, cut him loose and say he's not salvageable.
mm, okay,
So, there are a number of plot lines that have to play out between now and October.
yeah. Alright. Well, until next month,
Sure thing.
who knows what we'll be talking about then.
I know things that haven't even beyond, I don't know. There was just reporting that Trump was hustled out of Turkey in a catering
Oh,
cart.
really?
Yeah, 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 container van.
Wow.
So, who knows? Next month there'll probably be more, cartoon incidences that we can discuss with utmost seriousness.
Alright, Dick, thank you.
Okay, thanks a
Have a
lot.
good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.